So I think we have a Roman Catholic in the box again. They just love me, or something. No, that would be twisting the truth for sure. But anyway, said in irony. But they really, really, they usually come out when you, when you, what do you call it? Prick to them a little. So I'm just trying to. So I'm on this Gap.com and all that, and I try to get my messages from the old account over to Gap, but seemingly a little hard to do that. Although I guess I could just copy them and copy paste all of them. That would be a way. But it would have been nice if I could just have done it magically. But anyway, so this is Andrew Torba, and he's the guy who is the CEO or the head of this application Gap, and it looks very good, and the idea of it is wonderful. As I understand, it was made for Christians, although I think he means Roman Catholics when he's thinking Christians. But, as he says, other people are welcome and all that. So I've been looking into it. I don't really know if I should get over to the platform, but it's nice that people are just direct. I like that. I like that people are, they're direct and, no bullshit pretty well. There's of course bullshit, but they are just putting it out there, right? So here is my account, and I haven't fixed the picture yet because I have problems with the picture from the mobile. Not sure why. I just don't want to fix an image and all that. But anyway, so I wrote, it's always nice to see someone with a Bible. And of course, here we have the US king or president or whatever you want to call him with a Bible in his hand, although he's promoting Catholic things like Christ Mass and so forth. So anyway, apparently it's just, that's annoying. Why is it moving me down there? Anyway, so it's always nice to see a person with a Bible in his hand, and pointing out to the Bible in some sense, as every single Protestant was pointed out. But Sunday service, of course, Sunday is the first day of the week and all that. But anyway, so as I understand it from Andrew, just looking a little around, as I understand, he is a Roman Catholic, as far as I know. Looked around a little. Well, anyway, so of course I'm going to tell them the truth, right? And see if, it should be an open platform where we can have free speech. Of course, it is up to him, of course, to, he could just ban me from his own channel. That wouldn't be, that's his, what do you call it, prerogative, that's up to him, of course. But of course, in regards to banning me from the whole platform, that shouldn't be any, shouldn't come around. But the guy, Andrew can be pretty direct as well, I've seen on other places. So, so that's pretty nice. Directness, let's get some and just get things on the table, right? That's nice. But besides that, I think he sounds like he has some pretty good, when I looked into the platform, I thought this is wonderful. This is something that I could support, although it is, if he's Roman Catholic and all that, I am aware of that. Because they are trying to, this ecumenical, diabolical movement, they're trying to get us together and back under the wings of that Antichrist. You have to remember that Satan's greatest enemy on this very earth was the Protestants, or is the Protestants. And why would that be? Because they are pointing to his, master puppet sitting in Rome, and pointing out the wolves in sheep clothing. Anyway, so I wrote to him, you guys know Christ Mass, and look at the word Christ Mass. It is going back to the Mass of the Roman Catholics. Why would any Christian keep this? Well, of course they wouldn't, as in regards to the cookie Jesus. And of course, in regards to celebration of Christ Mass at the 25 December, you can see at the beginning of the 25 December usually, you can see a video from Rome and the Antichrist does all his abominations and all that. Anyway, so that is where, the cookie Jesus and all that nonsense. And of course, that is the high pagan celebration of, the winter solstice. This is nothing to do with Christianity. This was a celebration that was taken from the pagans in the 4th century by the Roman Catholic Church and made into Christ Mass. Just put a little Christian glimmer into it and we'll just incorporate it and call it Christian, because then it will be much easier to get the Mithraists or the sun worshippers into the Roman Catholic Church or the insanity institution of power-hungry wolves, anyway, who clothe themselves in sheep clothing. Anyway, so right, you guys know Christ Mass is not Christian, right? And Sunday, the first day of the week, as to say man-made Roman tradition, but I'm all in for the Bible for sure, So just providing, I'm telling the truth for them. I'm not doing anything else than just putting out the truth for these guys to point out, hey guys, this is the truth. And I'm trying to be as honest as I can and as truthfully as I can. So, Church Militant Army of God. Already, that sounds a little Catholic, a little papist, but anyway, let's see what he has to write. Tell me, friend. Oh, that's always bodes good or something, No, actually, I should probably stop with the irony here, maybe because some might actually misunderstand the irony because I've misunderstood irony and all. So anyway, but tell me, friend, and that doesn't always, when people come in with, that kind of, you just know that this might not be so good, But anyway, so the name of any Protestant church in the first 1500 years since Christ. Yeah, how about a pastor? Any artwork or mention of any Protestant church or pastor before the man Martin Luther? Well, should we take a guy like Wycliffe? Or you might say he was actually a Catholic. Yeah, well, he was a Protestant, wasn't he? He did protest against the Roman Antichrist. And he translated the whole Bible and they burned his bones in the fire after he died. Well, after they actually burned Huss, but of course he was also a Catholic, right? But he became, and that's, the whole history is filled with martyrs that has been killed by the drunken whore and harlot, which of course is Rome, your boat. But anyway, and of course a lot of documents has been censored down the ages and all that. Anyway, of course the Romanizers hated the Nazarenes, because they saw them as heretics. Why were the Nazarenes, the first believers in Jesus, called heretics by the Romanizers? You know that? Maybe I should tell you, because, these heretics, right? They still believe that we should keep to the law of Jehovah. What kind of heretics are they, right? Because we know that we should keep to the Antichrist law and all the man-made nonsense of the devil, right? Anyway, so they were sandwiched. They were, persecuted both by the Romanizers and by the Jews, who didn't accept their Messiah. I guess it would be they were both persecuted by Judaism and the Romanizers, and that was the Judaizers as they were called. Although persecuted from both sides. Same thing with those in Spain, the conversos, where you have the Jewish Christians with the Gentile Christians getting together and teaching each other. The Jews teaching the Gentiles about the real festivals, and the Gentiles teaching the Jews about Jesus Christ. And of course, Satan didn't like that, so they were persecuted as well. Although I don't know what name they, but we have all these groups throughout history, those so-called heretics, this heresy that springs forth again and again and again, and that the Roman Catholic Church, of course, with no problem, go out and slay and persecute or, yeah. It's very sad, but anyway. So let's see here. But yeah, we have Wycliffe, that was before Martin Luther, and we have the Lollards that came after him. We have the Hussites, which followed Huss. There was another guy that apparently also was burned with Huss. Huss, yeah, well, you could say they were Catholics, right? Or at least former Catholics, because they figured out things, and thereby they protested. You see, they read things and began to understand things, and thereby, of course, this wicked whore and the Antichrist persecuted them. And of course, the whole persecution, when it went totally haywire for for the devil, when Luther translates the Bible into German, we have Wycliffe translating the New Testament. Of course, he was burned at the stake as well. Heretic, right? Translating the Bible into the common tongue. What a heretic, right? Anyway, we have multiple people. Albigensians, the Waldensians, of course the Nazarenes, who was the first Christians. And regards of protesting, you can go to 2 Timothy 1:15 and see those people in Asia Minor protesting in the first century against a Roman Pharisee. Yeah, anyway, and then you could go to Revelation chapter 2, verse 2 and all that. You see, the Judaizers was first sown. They were sown by Jesus, or Yeshua, and then afterwards the Romanizers were sown, the bad poisonous Daniel, and they would grow up together until the harvest. And of course, Jesus being God and the greatest of prophets, of course, would speak the truth. So that is what we see in the world. Anyway, and of course we have so much evidence from the Bible and history pointing to who the Antichrist is in regard to the number 666. Anyway, let's go on with this. This is typical Roman Catholic bullshit and all that. They usually just listens to their priest and get indoctrinated with a lot of Roman nonsense. And yeah, anyway, can't remember the other names of some of these groups that have been persecuted by the Roman Catholic Insanity Institution, or the Synagogue of Satan, or the Meeting Houses of Satan, those stinking graveyards of dead men walking and all that. But anyway, let's go. So how about a pastor, any artwork or mention of any Protestant church or pastor before the man, Martin Luther? By the way, we have a lot of people that has, a lot of documents that have been censored, like a man like Melito, for example. He's from the area that rejected Paulus or Shaul, because all Asia rejected Paulus, according to his own words. Of course, it was to be expected that the devil would sow the bad poisonous Daniel and begin to lead people away from the law of God. And it pretty much have succeeded on many levels, we must say, Anyway, of course, the Romanizers have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. It started at the 1st century, and it has continued to this very day, while you promote these man-made bullshit traditions of the Antichrist. Yeah. Oh, because the church changed the 7th day into the 1st day, right? So now you're keeping Sunday instead of the So where do you find any biblical foundation for that? Oh yeah, absolutely nowhere. Because the little horn thinks to change times and laws. And if the little Roman horn thinks to change times and laws, well, maybe it's because the law of Jehovah is not abolished. You ever thought about that? Anyway, people don't think so much nowadays. Anyway, any work, Any artwork or mention of any Protestants, church, or pastor before the man. Satan has been censoring documents from the very beginning. We have lost a lot of things, although we can reconstruct a lot of things as well. But we have lost a lot of things. And like, for example, Melito, because the Romanizers hated Melito, because Melito believed in 1,000-year reign, and what was it, other things. So he was one of these, what do you call it, Melinid? Oh, what do you call it? You have different words in Latin and Greek, and, believed in a millennium, 1,000-year millennium and all that. Oh, but that's just Jewish heresy, right? And Jewish fables and all that. Yeah, and if you believe that, you are anathematized from the Roman Catholic bullshit institution, right? Anyway, so of course we have the conflict of Easter and Passover and all that, and to this very day we keep Easter. That's another point and all that. But Easter, going back to the Queen of Heaven, right? Easter, Astaroth, Inanna, so-called Mary, right? Queen of Heaven, yeah. Pagan bullshit. Yeah. So it's interesting in regards to that pagan trinity, looking into that. I think I'm getting how it's connected together in regards of those pagan priests calling themselves fathers. And what is it you call Mary? Oh, the mother, right? And the cookie? Oh, yeah, that's the son, right? And of course, the pagan trinity was the moon and the Venus. And the sun, the pagan trinity is already there at the beginning of Shinar, it seems. You have the symbols from that very beginning. And you have a lot of these symbols that is also used to this very day in regards to the moon, in regards of Venus, and of course in regards of the sun. Isn't it interesting? It's the priest that is called what? The father that can make the sun. And Mary, the mother. Okay. Well, it's just an interesting thought, right? Because the pagan trinity does have a female aspect. And what are you pagan bullshitters doing in regards of you papists? Oh, yeah, you're praying to Mary, right? Oh, Mary might this and Mary might that, and all these so-called Mary, right? And all these visions or aberrations and all that. Oh, you don't think Satan can do these things, I guess you haven't been in the occult then, because I have a background of being in the occult, and, Satan could do things as well, And of course he does. And of course we are told in the Bible, in the New Testament, that we should, take care of such things, And we also should be very careful of wolves in sheep clothing. Anyway, let's move forward here, right? So how about a pastor, any artwork and mention of any Protestant church or pastor before the man Martin Luther? If Jesus and the apostles taught Protestant theology, how did the Catholic Church come into existence? Well, actually, that's a whole nother topic, of course, but the Roman Catholic Insanity Institution, in some sense, it was already there before Jesus entered the world, although not with not with sheep clothing. You see, the pagan mystery religion was already there from the beginning of the conception of the Roman empire, pretty much. The Roman kingdom. It started out as a kingdom. You already have the Pontifex Maximus, according to Wikipedia, in regards to the second king giving the rules to the Pontifex Maximus, which of course is the high pagan priest. And so you already have, you already have the whole at that point. Now later on, she evolves in the 3rd century. And you have Constantine, coming around, the high pagan priest, the Pontifex Maximus, the high pagan priest of Sol Invictus, which is in regards to Mithra and many other names of the sun deity. Anyway, we have so many corruptions in regards to the venerated day of the sun as well and all that, in regards to the first day instead of the last day of the week and all that we should keep that instead of the blessed day of God, who he sanctified and set apart nearly, around 6,000 years ago. Anyway, at the creation, the beginning creation. Of course, if you're a Roman Catholic, you might believe in pagan satanic bullshit evolution, which also go far further back than Darwin. But anyway, of course, it has a evolved and all that. Anyway, let's go forward here. So Martin Luther. Okay, so if Jesus and the apostles taught Protestant theology. Oh yeah. Wait. Oh, I'm getting too far ahead here. Okay, so in the third century with Constantine, the Church of Rome, the pagan mystery religion of Rome, amalgamates. I think it's that. English is not my first language here. Amalgamates with this institution, and there you go. And you have the 4th century with a huge amount of persecutions of people not accepting the Roman Catholic insanity institution. You see, the whore drunken with the blood of the saints, which is Rome, is drunken by the blood of the saints. Yep. Anyway, and you can see that throughout history. You can read you can listen to the book History of Romanism. It's actually free. You can get it in a PDF from 1870 or 71. That's the latest version of that book, where you have huge amount of history of Romanism, both using Roman Catholic sources and Protestant sources. Pretty much being fair and using Roman Catholic own documents and so forward to point out how the history of Romanism has done their wicked works. Anyway, you can always look into more and more of it, because it's this disgusting system that has been working and done so many wicked things and all. Anyway, so let's see. And if Jesus and the apostles taught Protestant theology, how did the Catholic Church come into existence? That is, of course, the universal church. And the universal church, the mystery religion, was already there from the very beginning of Roman conception. So thereby, it was already there when Jesus entered the world as the pagan church in regards to Rome, and then amalgamated and took on sheep clothing in the that would be the 4th century, I guess. In the beginning of the 4th century, it took on sheep clothing and continued from there. And of course did much more persecutions and killing and murder. Anyway, so that's pretty much, you see, the Romanizers was already added from the very 1st century. So, it's also an interesting detail that, as I understand it, Roman citizens I haven't confirmed this, but I found this source talking about that, that was nothing to do, by the way, with I think it was an outside source, I'm not sure. Anyway, but in any case, a Roman citizen, as I understand it, was actually what do you call it? Is said to be needed to be part of the universal mystery religion of Rome. Now, I don't know if that is true. It wouldn't be a surprise. It would make sense if you're going to become a citizen in Rome, that you would actually also need to be part of the Roman mystery religion. That would make sense, although I haven't confirmed it, and all that are something to look deeper into. So, of course, if that is the case, of course, Paulus, who was a Roman Pharisee, would have known the system of Rome. Anyway, but in any case, the Romanizers was sown very early on, as Jesus said. The good eatable wheat was to be sown first in the field, and then afterwards his enemy would be sowing the bad poisonous darnel. And they look much alike, and they are growing up together until the harvest which is yet future. Okay? So just listen to Jesus, Rabbi Jesus, Anyway, so let's see. How did the Catholic Church come into existence? ? And to that end, the Bible was canonized in the 4th century by the Catholic Church. Excuse me. So you're saying that the Jews didn't fix the books in the Bible, or we don't have the Aramaic version of the Bible, or whatever, It's just bullshit, give me a break. It's bullshit. It's, yeah. Yeah. Any case, let's move on. And to that end, the Bible was canonized in the 4th century by the Catholic Church. Yeah, typical, right? Oh, but it's because it's our book, right? Well, actually, it took us into the Dark Ages, right? Because you guys, pretty much all the Romanizers pretty much took us into the Dark Ages because we were not allowed to read the Bible anymore. All that conflict that happened in regards of the so-called, the Reformation that failed because you couldn't reform the Roman Catholic insanity institution of power-hungry wolves in sheep clothing. So it became a protest that protested against the Antichrist. And what happened was that people was allowed to read the Bible again. And when people read the Bible, they could figure out that the Roman Catholic insanity institution is not Christian. Anyway, let's move forward. And that's most likely one of the reasons why the Roman Catholic system didn't want people to read the Bible. Because if they read the Bible, they might figure out where's the Antichrist and where the whore is. And, knowing history, real history, also figure out, pointing in the direction of Rome, 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 your boat. Down the bloody stream. Merrily, 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 the Antichrist is happy or what? I don't know. I guess one could probably make a pretty good anti-Catholic song against. Anyway, so it's a huge bloodstream that system had made. And okay, let's go on. And to that end, the Bible was canonized in the 4th century by the Catholic Church. So what about the Aramean version that was translated in the 1st century? The Greek documents. That's wasn't that before? But I guess you might think about it in regards to the New Testament, maybe in regards of, the Nazarenes used primarily the book of Matthew, and they pretty much seem to have been able to just stand on that. Now, of course, the Nazarenes, who was the first Christians, would also know that this would be fitting because they were the ones witnessing what was going on. So the book of Matthew, of course, have a huge amount of weight to it. Of course, we have that apparently in Hebrew. We have found Hebrew manuscripts. We actually have multiple Hebrew manuscripts. We also have Greek, we have Aramaic, and others and all that we can. Not that it, but, give me a break, The Christians were reading, even we have Melito writing down the books, And that's in the 2nd century, so don't give me that bullshit, Don't get me started on that nonsense and all these slick lies of the snake and all that. Melito was writing down all the books in the 2nd century, and at least in regards to the scriptures, in regards to the so-called Old Testament and all that. Anyway, I can't remember if we actually had but we already have the Gospels being used, early on, so, Of course, Paulus got into the New Testament. I guess we might be able to thank the Roman Catholic institution for that, because Marcion, of course, collected all the letters of Paulus because he thought that Paulus knew the truth and all the other apostles apparently got it wrong and all that. Anyway. Not to say that Paulus is a great witness in regards to Jesus, who he was and who he is, and so forward. So that's not the problem. The problem is that he's leading people away into lawlessness and away from the law of God. And that's not the way we should, And of course, he's leading people into, things of that it's okay to eat food sacrificed to false gods, which of course it's not. Well, and a lot of other things, he's cursing people, which Jesus told us never to curse anyone. And by the way, how many curses does Roman Catholics put on Protestants? How many? I guess I have a good pile, of curses upon me, Of course, I don't want to accept a bullshit institution, the masterpiece of Satan, this craftsmanship of, the pinnacle of craftsmanship of Satan. That's the Roman Catholic maniac institution. Anyway, so Protestant theology, how did the Catholic Church come into existence? Well, again, we pretty much got into that, right? And to that end, the Bible was canonized in the 4th century by the Catholic Church. Doesn't matter, look into history. The documents was already going around. Don't give me that bullshit that the Roman Catholic Church gave us the Bible. If anything, it burned and censored and kept the Bible away from the people. So don't give me that bullshit. Oh, anything else than Latin, let's burn it, right? What other nonsense. Anyway, so if Jesus and the apostles taught Protestant theology, why would they allow the poof out of thin air Catholic Church decide what constitutions the word of God? In regards of Jesus, he's one of those that points to the Antichrist. John is one of them. Even Paul points to that Antichrist. And of course, as we know, the popes, or what you call them, so-called Holy Father, which is utter blasphemous and all that. But anyway, these unholy figures, they can speak truth, but they can also flip it 180 degrees around. So you have to be discerning, And the same thing with Paul. He could speak truth. And of course, if there's no truth mixed with lies, you would discover there's something wrong. Jesus said that, be aware of wolves that comes to you in sheep clothing. That could, if possible, deceive the elect. Now, shouldn't we heed the warning from our Master and Rabbi and God and Lord? I think we should, and I think we should be very discerning for wolves in sheep clothing. Anyway, so if Jesus and the apostles taught Protestant theology, why would they allow the poof out of thin air Catholic Church decide what's constitution, the word of God? Now, listen, what does Jesus say in regards to the bad poisonous darnel? That would be sown afterwards the good eatable wheat had been sown. That the angels are saying, should we go out and rip them up? And what does Jesus say? No, because if you rip them up, you will also rip up the good eatable wheat. So let them grow up together until the harvest, and then you can take out the bad poisonous darnel and put them in the fire, and then you take the good eatable wheat and, get them into my barn. As I understand it, the darnel is, I've seen some information, haven't verified it, but as I understand it, the seed is poisonous, so, and they look pretty much alike. You can look that up. But anyway, apparently, as I understand it, they give less fruit, so they don't hang down like the wheat, and they are stronger as well. So if you wait to the harvest of the wheat, you should be able, according to some of the sources that I read, you should be able to actually, take out the tares or the darnel. And so you should be able to sort them out at that point. Anyway, let's go forward here. So decide the constitution, the word of God. So proof out of thin air. Catholic Church decide what constitutes the word of God. They have all these councils, right? You have one church meeting after another church meeting after another church meeting after another church meeting and all that. And the same, of course, they had in regards of the protest, right? To give some authority to this wicked organization, That's just... We also have a letter from Polygratus from the 2nd century, writing about having read all the scriptures, That's the 2nd century. Of course, he is rejecting the Bishop Victor in Rome, because Bishop Victor apparently thought that we should keep Roman pagan, traditions of Easter instead of the Bible in regards of Passover. Of course, that wins out later on in 325 of the Nicene Council, that we are, happy that we are now all in agreement to keep it according to Roman traditions. Now, of course, that is not true that we are all happy, and now all in agreement, because we can see John Chrysostom in the late 4th century are still attacking the Judaizers. Of course, he's himself a Romanizer, and he begins to promote Christmas in the late 4th century and attack the Judaizers and those keeping to the festivals actually found in the written word. But anyway, we have so much depravity from the Romanizers, and it's a bullshit organization. Some of these saints that you have sainted, this woman, I read the letter she wrote to the Hussites, which would be before Luther. And these Hussites are Protestants. They protested. And they were, the Roman Catholic Church burned Huss, the cooked goose and all that. And the Hussites came about and all that. And the Roman Catholic Church got a lot of issues with the Hussites. And she writes the most diabolical Roman Catholic, letter, typical Roman Catholic letter to the Hussites. Utterly disgusting, but of course, apparently she was burned as a heretic and then made a saint by you, right? Of course, then we have Ignatius Loyola, right? One of the most depraved, wicked men in history. Oh, but let's saint him as well, right? He was so disgusting. Anyway, the first Jesuit general in regards to the special soldiers of Satan. Then we have other people, but I can't remember their name. We have a guy that was sainted, that persecuted in regards to the New Testament, getting to England and all that. And we have a murderer in regards to the Hustashis, in regards to the Serbians and all that. Can't remember that name either. But yeah, let's just saint these depraved, wicked men, working there, snake oil, murderers, poison and all that. But let's continue. So for 11,000 years before the man Martin Luther changed it. So see, church decided what constituted the word of God for 11,000 years before the man Martin Luther changed it. How did Martin Luther change the Bible? As far as I know, we still, although we don't have the Apocrypha in the Bible anymore, but that was in the, it was in the books in the beginning. I actually do have the Apocrypha here, from the King James, although I would like another version of it actually. But in any case, so here we have the Bible, and we pretty much have all the Bibles that the Jews have verified. We also have all the books that was verified by Melito, and in regards to the so-called Old Testament, in regards to the scriptures. We have Josephus also verifying which books we, and other sources. So don't give me the bullshit that the Roman Catholic Church might this and that, If the Roman Catholic Church did anything, it was to burn the Bibles, and persecute those that had, persecuted the Christians that had the documents, and yet we have so much surviving. But yeah, but Satan has always been after, burning documents and destroying things and all that. Anyway, let's continue here. For 1100 years before the man Martin Luther changed it, he didn't really change the date. But of course, you also told the rest of the Romanizers that he had died before he actually died, right? He had a great laugh about that. Who knows? Some Jesuit might have poisoned him or whatever, and thought that he might have died already or whatever. But wouldn't be surprised if he was poisoned. The Jesuits have the means of getting so-called heretics away, right? And of course, Martin Luther did have his issues, but he was also a former Roman Catholic, right? So, it's hard when you are growing up with this nonsense to shake off all your issues. A lot of the Protestants were former Roman Catholics, actually a huge amount of them. Anyway, but when they were able to read the Bible, they could see through the whole system that was utter nonsense. Anyway, for 1100 years before the man Martin Luther changed it. Okay, so see here. For 1100 years, yes. And he says, sir. I don't really like the use of sir, but anyway. He says, please study history and remove the scales. I would advise you, if you want to seek truth, to go out and look for the book about Roman history. Actually, do I have it? Yeah, I think I actually can find the title here for you. And you can download that for free. And you also have a man named Tom Friess reading a lot of it. That's a very good work on Roman history. Let's see here if we can find it. Libra Pro. See if we can get that up. And so I don't think it's actually... I would agree that I need to read more up on history. I love reading up on history and the truth and all that. But I don't think you should expect me to turn around. Although I would advise you to turn around and try to figure out what is really going on and get out of the system. Jesus said, get out of her, my people. Not to take part in her abominations. You're worshiping devils. You're worshiping Satan with all these, cookies. You're worshiping a dry piece of cookie. A wafer. Anyway, let's see if we can find it. Nope. The history. There we go. I think this is the one. Yeah. At least one of the books I have, one of the PDFs of that version on page 15. Of course, it just needs to load. So just give me Give the mobile a moment, and it should come up. But this book is in regards of Roman history from the beginning of until I still haven't read it all, but I've listened to Tom Friess in regards to this book, and let's see if we can find the name of it. It's free. You can find it freely on the internet if you search on the title. Of course, I should probably close this one and let it get a little quicker here. So here's the author, John Dowling, History of Romanism and it has a other title in regards of date 1871 is the latest version. The first version was from 1845 or something like that, but it has some more material, some more pages, 900 pages in total. But that's history. That's history of Romanism from the very first conception. Do we have the full title here someplace? Would be nice to see the full title. As you can see, it only says 500 pages here, but that's because it's like there's more pages on every slide in some sense. So it's interesting that the application can actually figure out how to actually divide them in some sense. I haven't really looked more into this version. I have another version that is better set up that I was reading into. But of course, I'm reading another book at the moment in regards of Charles' Book of Martyrs. Anyway, you can find this book for yourself, the name and in regards of who wrote it and all that. And I would advise you to take a look into that and, research history yourself. Although, in regards of please study history, absolutely, I need to study more history. Probably I would be able to study history for the rest of my life, and still there would be things that I didn't know. But I know enough to know where the Antichrist is. So, and I know my Bible well enough. But of course, that's always a nice thing to study the Bible. But the book of Daniel and book of Revelation should lead you to... And if you take the whole Bible overall and the words of Jesus and all that, and put it together and all that, you will see the picture and pointing to the Antichrist. So anyway, let's see here. Sir, please study history and remove the scales. When Mohammedans, or he calls them Muslims, when Mohammedans were destroying Christian lands, who gathered to fight them? Oh, yeah, that was the Roman Catholic Insanity Institution. Tell me, did Jesus tell us to go out and kill people and take the sword in the hand and just go out and slay them? Or did he tell us to use the sword of the mouth? And then you can ask yourself or question yourself, who gained by the Mohammedans came about? Who gained by it? You see, there was a conflict between Rome and Constantinople in regards of who was the greater one, right? So there you have this whole conflict and all that. So who gained by the destruction of the eastern leg of Rome? Who gained by that? So who might have created Mohammedanism? Isn't it interesting that Mohammedanism pretty much believes the same thing as Roman Catholicism in regards of so-called Mary? Isn't that interesting? The same bullshit. And you both believe the same thing. Incredible. I guess it's just a coincidence, like many other things, right? Both groups hate the truth. Both groups kill off Christians, Also very effective, right? Because the Mohammedans could kill off all the Christians, right? In Africa and Turkey and all that. And Turkey, of course, was also one of these big issues in the beginning for Rome in regards of authority and so forward. So anyway, but of course after the eastern leg was, obliterated, pretty much, then of course we have the universal bishop in Rome, right? Now he is the greatest authority. No one can really do anything again. Anyway, so that's another story, of course. We have Alberto Rivera, by the way, talking about them actually creating Mohammedanism and telling how it was done and so forward. We also have other sources that would be interesting to look into. But if you actually look into Mohammedanism and Romanism, it's like two sides of the same wicked coin, But of course, Rome is the head. So, in any case, so when Mohammedans were destroying Christian lands, all those Christians in the North Africa and Turkey and so forward, all those Christians. Anyway, who gathered to fight them? Oh, the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church was very helpful in regards of Constantinople, right? Seems there was some, it was something in regards of history where Rome only wanted to help Constantinople if Constantinople would come under the wings of Rome. A lot of things, I can't remember everything and all that, but absolutely conflict between those two. And then, of course, Constantinople didn't want to do that. And then they lost to the Mohammedans. And then, of course, we have the Crusades fixed up by, the Antichrist, of course. Because the Mohammedans apparently got a little out of control with their power-hungry things and all that. So, and the Antichrist got a little mad about it, according to Alberto Rivera, for example. But anyway, but there are other sources that I would love to dig into in regards of the Mohammedans. Wouldn't be a surprise, right? Because the mother have a lot of children, right? Communism, Nazism. You see Roman Catholicism in Latin America, where they mix with the, the religion of theirs over there. You have where, the African religion mixes with Romanism and all that, and anyway. So you have a lot of things, and it doesn't really matter for the Roman Catholic insanity institution of the devil. As long as she is in control, it's all okay, But anyway, as long as you're not going against her, but just... Anyway, so where the Ecclesiae gathered to fight them, the Catholic Church, So was Christians called to go out and fight other people? Oh, no. They were called to go out and spread the good news, right? Anyway, where were all the Baptists, non-denominations, and so on, since Jesus and the apostles were all Protestants? Well, Jesus told us about the Antichrist. John told us about the Antichrist. Even Paul, as I told you, told us about the Antichrist. Now, of course, the prophet Daniel told us about the Antichrist. Jesus told us about the Antichrist in the book of Revelation. Although also the whole system is pretty much totally made, put forward if you take the puzzle pieces from all over and you get the point of to where you should look. And as the saying goes, all roads lead to Rome. So anyway, so let's see. Since Jesus and the apostles were all Protestants, well, if you look at Asia Minor, they protested Paulus. And we already know that the Nicolaitans was around, those that rules over the people, and they were already around in the 1st century. The synagogue of Satan was already at works in the 1st century. And we already see Paulus being rejected, Roman Pharisee Paulus being rejected by all Asia, according to himself in 2 Timothy 1:15. And of course we see Jesus clapping, giving them a clap on the shoulder in some sense, in regards to the congregation of Ephesus, which is chapter 2, verse 2. But But besides that, you also have Jesus rebuking two congregations very clearly about the doctrine of eating food sacrificed to false gods. And of course, that was a doctrine that Paulus was promoting and all that. That's no problem because we have this knowledge and all that nonsense. Anyway, but that's just some of the issues here and there. But let's see here. So where were all the Baptists, non-denominations, and so on, since Jesus and the apostles were up? Oh yeah, by the way, in regards to the Nazarenes, we have two sources that seems to tell that the Nazarenes also actually protested against Paulus. Although we also have a third source that says otherwise, but that's an older source coming later. We also have, we know for a fact that it's pretty certain that the what is they called? The group that came out from the Nazarenes, which was not the Nazarenes, but seems to have come out of the Nazarenes, which also was a Jewish group. And as by the way, in regards to the Nazarenes, it also seems like Gentiles was part of that. But anyway, that's another thing. But in any case, what was that group called? Because people usually use that group to say, see, they didn't believe that Jesus was God and all that. But the problem is, it's not the primary group. What is that group called? I should have known. I know it, but it's just not there. I can't remember. Come on, think. Come on, brain, work. The group that came out of the Nazarenes around 70 AD, what was that called? You have writings from the Romanizer in the 4th century in regards to or maybe it's the 5th century, well, around 400, in regards to the medicine chest. Is it Eusebius or something like that writes that? And of course, he calls the Nazarenes heretics and all that. Why? Well, because they still keep to the law of Moses. Oh, how terrible heretics, right? Anyway, this utter nonsense. But of course, they were what do you call it? They were persecuted from both sides. They were hated by the Jews because the Nazarenes believed that Jesus, of course, was the Messiah. And they were persecuted by the Romanizers because the Nazarenes still kept to the law of Moses, which of course is the law of Jehovah. But anyway, and the Romanizers, of course, don't believe that we should keep the law of Moses because that's done away and all that, and we'll follow the Antichrist and his man-made laws and all these pagan traditions and all that. Anyway, what was they called? Anyway, the other group that came out from the Nazarenes around 70 AD, as far as I can gather, they absolutely rejected Paulus. We have that's pretty certainty on that. But it also seems like that the Nazarenes actually also ended up rejecting Paulus. But we have lost a lot of documents. So and I think we have one to thank for that. Well, actually a whole system to thank for all that censor and loss of documents. And yes, it lays at the feet of the Romanizers. So thank you very much for censoring a lot of documents, burning them and persecuting the saints and removing them from history. That's what you still are doing in our days. I can see how much I'm being censored by Romanizers and people hating the truth and loving the lies. Anyway, let's go on. What was it called? It's just annoying that I should know what they are called. Let's see. Where do I have it? Should have the book. Oh, let's see. Should be here. The Nazarenes, the Jewish Christianity. That's a book I read. Let's see here. Oh yeah, here we go. The Ebionites. So the Ebionites. But we have two sources in regards to this book that actually speaks about the Nazarenes rejecting Paulus. But anyway, I collected all the sources and all that on a YouTube video, but YouTube banned my whole channel and all that, so that's lost. So where I read all the sources I had from different places on this subject. Anyway, so I have done some studies on some history here and there for sure, but there's absolutely more to know about because you Romanizers have pretty much kept the truth away from us on so many levels. Yeah. Anyway, let's go forward here. So where were all the Baptist, non-dominate denominations and so forward since Jesus and the apostles were all Protestants? Well, they have always been there. You just need to look a little closer in history and look at who the Roman Catholic maniac institution have persecuted throughout history. Okay, when the Great Schism happened, it wasn't Baptist and later they since that split, it was the Catholic Church, East and West. Please study history and remove the scales. So, if you go and read John Chrysostom in the late 4th century against the Jews, for example, you have 8 sermons just from him. Now, you can see that not all people are in agreement in regards of this system. So that's just one source where you can see that the Judaizers are attacked. So the Judaizers are still around. They might not be, we might have a lot of history that is lost because of persecution and burning of documents and all that. But it's kind of, you people, you Romanizers can't put that on us. And it's actually disgusting, both the Mohammedans, both the Judaism, those following Judaism, and Roman Catholics put that on us, standing for the truth. But how is it that, you go out and burn all the documents, all of you go out and burn. We have both sources from Mohammedans, in regards of the Jews burning manuscripts. I have those sources on my Facebook. I have in regards to the Mohammedans persecuting Christians and burning documents. We have the Romanizers. And then you come to us and tell us, oh, we don't have enough evidence, or we have this and that and all that. Hey, you are the guys burning those documents. So don't come up and put it on and put the weight on us when it's just that's disgusting, and that's absolutely not fair. But of course the devil doesn't play fair, and the children of the devil, of course, does the devil's work. But don't come around here and say, oh, this and that and all that. You people have been the ones going around and removing things, and you still are doing it. And today it's happening. It's happened to me. I have the experience to see how wicked works you are doing in regards of removing, things that I write and, truth, and in regards of, pretty much, you're doing this, you Romanizers are doing the same thing as the Mohammedans. You get into these groups and all that, like a flock and all that, and then you what do you call it? You push the button for something that you disapprove of, because you Roman Catholics, of course, you don't tolerate the truth, right? We shouldn't tolerate that. Yeah. And this guy going, or this person, this Roman Catholic going into a Protestant bookstore and finding Protestant material and writing to the Catholic. Actually, you might have written to something else, but both of the pages are Roman Catholics. And what terrible thing to go into a Protestant bookstore and then find Protestant material. Had to be, what should I do? And of course the slick answer back, and took me some time to figure Roman Catholicism out, but I found out wolves in sheep clothing. What disgusting group following the cult leader. The Antichrist, Anyways, let's see, yeah. So when the Great Schism happened, it wasn't Baptist and later Day Saints that split. It was the Catholic Church, East and West. Please study history and remove the scales. By the way, you have all these idols and images and all that, and the Orthodox Church have the same, many of the same issues as the Roman Catholic Church. It's like, same nonsense of worshiping the devil. You call yourself Christians, right? Making the upside cross, bowing to these things, kissing them, the smelly thing and whatever, I can't remember what it's called, and worshiping a cookie. Are you kidding me? You people, and making. I guess I could go on and on and on. Anyway, so in regards of study history and all that, I'm surely I should study more history, and I am. I love the history and trying to, and actually finding out who is actually really, really running things in regards to the shadow government. So who is the shadow government? Well, the shadow government is Roman Catholic. It's the Romanizers. And of course, the Bible tells us that Rome, the Roman beast, will be here until Jesus returns and cast the beast into the lake of fire. So it's really not a surprise. It went from the pagan Roman Empire into the so-called Holy Roman Empire. Well, actually, it's the unholy Roman Empire, but of course it will be done away in the future. So it's just a matter of time before the system is ruined. Let's see here. We have Raymond E. Comfort here. He says, heck, a full-length movie with several follow-ons. Dizzy Catholics, they got the leader they deserve. Well, the thing of being a Christian is to stand for the truth. And some of these Roman Catholics just don't know. They have been growing up in this system for all their life. And thereby they never question the system because they take it as the truth. The same thing I did for evolution, because in Denmark we grow up with evolution as the truth. There's never no one questioning this, and it's always evolution that is pushed forward by society, the school system, the television, and so forward and so forth. Video games even, right? And the family and all that. So anyway. So what we as Christians should do, of course, was to tell the Roman Catholics about the truth, and because they might just they might not just not know. But it's nice that let them absolutely be direct. I like the thing that they are direct, and I'll just be direct back at them, and that's wonderful. And then they can. That's if God is going to stir them away from this system or not, and let the Holy Spirit take over, and not follow that Roman Antichrist, and lead them out of that wicked bed of the harlot, then of course it would absolutely. Some of the best Protestants, I guess, or at least some of the very effective Protestants have been former Catholics, and they know the system from their own experience. Now, I never was a Roman Catholic, and I was pretty much an atheist, a believing atheist and evolutionist. That's pretty much what we teach in Denmark. Christian is more like a culture thing, sadly. Anyway, for many people. Any case, getting back to it. So we are just to stand for truth and all that. And the problem is there's not that many Protestants around anymore. They don't even know who they protest. And we have this diabolical ecumenical union run by the Jesuits to get us back under the wings of that Roman Antichrist of the number 666. You see, the Antichrist is not just one man. Now, of course, there will be one final man, but it's a dynasty of people. Every man in the position, in the office and seat of the papacy is representing the beast of the number 666. That is the Roman beast. Anyway, I guess that's enough for me. Church militant, army of God, I hope you get out of the bed of the whore and harlot and run out of it. Don't lose Jesus, but if you're a Roman Catholic, you don't even have him yet. You're worshiping a cookie, and that cookie does not become Jesus. That cookie is a false cookie Jesus, it's not Jesus. It never becomes Jesus. It doesn't become his flesh or body or soul or sinews or whatever. It's not Jesus. This is a pagan bullshit religion that has just been so-called baptized into Christianity in the around the third, the beginning of the 4th century. And So it's just a lot of pagan traditions that's just been put some Christian glimmer on it, and then the devil does his work, and you're worshiping the devil and his puppet, Anyway, that's all. I'll post I wonder where I should post the video. It depends on how long it takes. Anyway, I should stop it and get back to you. That's all. May Jehovah be with you, and Yeshua be a most precious pearl, and the Spirit of truth be in us all. I really hope He will open your eyes, and so you can get out of this system and stand for the truth. I don't know if you're part of any Knights of Malta or Knights of Columbus or whatever other group there is out there, but I would recommend you to get out of those groups, or if you're a Freemason, whatever, just get out of the group, and become a Christian and stand for the truth, and you will get persecution for sure. That's what we get, for standing for truth. Yeah. And take care. That's all from me.